Anthony Melchiorri, you're looking more wide awake than I've ever seen you.
Straight from a red eye.
Straight from a red
I'm
eye.
Anthony. Welcome to No Vacancy Lives. That's my friend Glenn.
You're watching the #1 show in hospitality. All right, Anthony Melchiorri, so great to see you today. Welcome back from the land of Las Vegas.
Yeah, I got on the flight 11:30 last night. I went to sleep as soon as I got on the flight. I woke up when we landed at JFK.
Yep.
Got my kids some bagels, and here I am.
Don't you love those Delta One seats? They go like all the way back. Those are the coolest things.
Yeah.
And,
there was like 3 people in all of first class, so it was good.
Right, and dude, and there's nothing more exciting to me than getting that when you're in Las Vegas. It is so important.
Yeah, I can't do a red eye unless I was shaking. I was so tired when I got on the plane. So, my friend and guy who drives me, Robinson, who's a dear friend of mine, he looked at me and he never ever criticized me. And he looks at me, he goes, "God, you look terrible." I go, "Yeah, I'm a little tired," but it was a good trip. It was fruitful.
Yeah. That's really
poker table, but I didn't play that much poker. But I had some business meetings, and our California meeting was canceled because I was going to the West Coast because we had a California meeting. Actually, I was going with our guest who we have on today. Me, her, and my partner Jeremy were flying out to California to work on a project, and unfortunately, every time I buy a ticket to go out to this project, LA gets shut down. So I'm not buying tickets to LA anymore because it gets shut down every time I buy a ticket.
I like the idea of buying a ticket to Vegas and then driving to California. Though I got to say, it's more fun driving the other way.
When my trip to California was canceled, but before it was canceled, I rented a car and I was driving to Vegas. And so when it was canceled, I was just going straight to California. I mean, Vegas, I almost flew into California just to drive to Vegas. But then I said, nah, I'm not going to do that. But I will do that one day.
That would have been fun. All right, before we get started with our great guest today, I just want to remind everybody that Best Buy Business is supporting our show, and we'd love for you to support them too. It's hard to imagine that they are in the hospitality business. You just go to bestbuy.com/hospitality to learn all about how they can help you. They carry all the major brands of hospitality TVs that you need at great prices. I happen to love Samsung products over there. And they can also help install them with their more than 4,000 Geek Squad agents around the country, tackle any size job around the country. And of course, they'll get rid of all your old stuff too. And Anthony, I think that is really, really helpful for people.
I've used Best Buy since I've been in this house. And they just put in, not just a couple of years ago, put in a flat screen TV for me. And the gentleman was so professional, took out the old TV, put in a new one, did things I didn't expect him to do to make it easier for me. The way he mounted it on the wall, everything. And he was a funny guy. I was laughing with him for like an hour. So, and again, you can use them because their pricing, I don't know who can do pricing better than they do. They're Best Buy.
Right?
They have the best, most competitive pricing in the land.
It's right there in the name, guys. Best Buy. All right, make sure you check out bestbuy.com/hospitality. All right, so let's go into our guest. We've got back with us the wonderful Kimberly Christner, CEO of Cornerstone Hospitality. How are you today, Kimberly?
Very good. Thank you for having me back.
All right, so let's start off this conversation by me telling everybody today I'm coming at you not from the Western Front Hotel. Let's do a single shot on it. Let me go do that. Boom, right there. Take a look at it. What a beautiful room you have over there. So that is absolutely gorgeous hotel. That is located where, Kimberly? Why don't you tell us a little bit about the property?
Yeah, thank you for having that in your background today, Glenn. I'm excited to see it. That's in St. Paul, Virginia, not Minnesota.
Oh,
yeah.
There's a St. Paul, Virginia?
There is a St. Paul, Virginia. You get to it about 45 minutes off of 81 on the interstate. It's in Southwest Virginia, and it sits in a small little town of about 1,000 people. And it's a 30-room hotel that we use to store tax credits and all kinds of other grant money and things to get done. And it sits between the Appalachian Mountains and the Clinch River, which the Clinch River is the most biodiverse river in the world, only second to the Amazon.
I had no idea.
Yeah,
it's the best. Again, what kind of river is second to the Amazon?
It's the most biodiverse river, the Clinch
River.
Mm-hmm.
Really?
in North America. It's the most biodiverse river, and you can hike, you can go fishing, kayaking, canoeing, great fishing on the Clinch, and then you can go ride ATVs. You can ride your ATV through town and go up to the mountains and go on ATV.
How did you hotel? Why did you buy this hotel in that area?
Well, I'll tell you a funny story. When we were going out to look at it, some of my business partners and I, we were driving down, and I was in a car behind them, and they called me, and they were like, "Kimberly, just want to make sure you were still back there." And I'm like, "Where are we going? It feels like we're going to Deliverance or somewhere." But I got there, and it's the cutest little town, and the people there, the town, the folks that run the town, that operate the town, they're all about their town, and we fell in love with the community, and with their help, developed this property, and with their support, have been operating it since 2018. It's one of the best places you can go. It's been so busy this year because of COVID, because it's all outdoors. That's all it is. It's all about outdoor activities. And so we've had people from Indiana, New York, New Jersey, Pennsylvania, all over the country coming. So it's been pretty fabulous.
Well, that's really good news.
You built it from scratch?
We built it. It was an old historic retail building with apartments above it. And we renovated it and converted it into 30 rooms with a gift shop, retail on the first floor, and then a restaurant. Yeah.
Wow. And you kept the restaurant open the whole time? We
had to close the restaurant. I don't know if you're familiar with Chef T. She was on Hell's Kitchen 24.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, she was on the 14th season. She was awesome. She opened a restaurant there, and during COVID, she closed it in September. We tried to get through and couldn't do it. So
I'm hoping she was smart enough to figure out how to cook scallops properly and beef Wellington before going on that show. Because if you don't do that, you're screwed.
Or risotto. Yeah.
Risotto.
Right.
I was going to say, anytime I have a chef that we're doing an interview for, they have to make risotto. And if you can't make risotto, it's like asking an Italian chef to make sauce. If you can't make sauce, you're done.
Well, Chef T was a door turner, so she was in second. She ran second place in that, and she says the best time a door's never opened for her. She's had a great success after that. But yeah, she's been in Western Front, and we were grateful to have her. But she's awesome.
So where are you now? Anthony? So are you looking, because you're going into winter? You had a good summer going into winter. Are you still seeing those occupancies hold?
We held good in St. Paul. We did well through November. December's waning a little bit as the temperature changes. It's pretty cold up there during the winter. So we'll see what happens during the winter for this little property. But we've had a good run all summer long. We were just busy. We were so excited to be so busy in that small little town. So it's been great.
What things did you do to make people in New York find out about St. Paul, Virginia?
We did something different than we've never done before. And that was, we don't have a large marketing budget. It's only 30 rooms. So we participated with TravelZoo. It was the very first time we did it. We put out a feeler on TravelZoo, and it just went gangbusters. And from that, people that came and stayed with us on a TravelZoo purchase told all their friends about it. And so then we had all these people that were coming that were friends of people that had come on TravelZoo, and we just got bookings after bookings after bookings from it. And it was largely because it's an outdoor destination. It has a huge backyard and a stage and fire pits and has a game room and all of that. And so people just enjoyed the outdoors, and that's where they wanted to be this year. And it was just great for us in our small town in St. Paul.
Glenn, so what told you about the power of TravelZoo, Glenn?
I know, right? TravelZoo does amazing things for a lot of people out there. So let me ask you a question about that. Did you get to choose the rate that you wanted to sell the room at, or do you have to make some sort of compromises when posting on there?
You have to give your soul.
Yeah.
You do have to give up something, but it's a negotiation with TravelZoo, and you take what you can, you're willing to take. And we made an agreement. And the interesting fact about that too, is for those that are in smaller communities, TravelZoo doesn't participate with everyone. And had COVID not happened, our market was so small, they would not have allowed us to participate with them. But because of COVID and where this property was located, they allowed us to participate, and they said it was one of their best, booking packages that they'd had, and they were pretty excited about it. So.
Well, congratulations to you.
The premise of TravelZoo, not to give a promotion to them, but is they give you the best deal. You can't find a deal anywhere else.
That's right.
And they make it competitive. Like they'll only say, like Kimberly said, we're only going to go to one town, or we're going to go to one city, And so we have like 7 hotels that want to be in TravelZoo. So you guys, this is the rate we're looking for. This is what we want. So that wouldn't work if they weren't able to get so many people to come to drive people. So they have been I would say a good partner, but a challenging partner. They win. In the end, we win. Short term, you lose because you're giving up a lot of rate. But like Kimberly said, it got her on the map. So it's you have to give up something to gain something.
Right.
No
Well,
question.
I would say, Kimberly, in this particular sense, then, because you are not spending the marketing budget elsewhere, that you could really rationalize doing that and feel like you're in aggregate, you're way ahead than you would have been otherwise. Is that the way you thought about it?
Absolutely. There's no investment in that. So the return on investment is, exponential. I mean, it's just off the chart. And then to be able to capture people where we could not have reached before, even on social media or ad buy or whatever online, we couldn't have reached those people as they did. And I think that is what really helped us, because we got not only the TravelZoo vouchers, we got people that bought additional TravelZoo vouchers, and then people that hadn't even bought TravelZoo vouchers that had seen posts and had seen reviews, and their people had talked about it. We couldn't have captured that. And so we really, it was a big win for us. I mean, It was huge. And I wouldn't recommend it for every property, but it was perfect for us.
And it's about target marketing. So depending on the property you have, depending on the size of property, you've got to really pay attention to what works within your budget, and then what is going to open up the faucet. I've seen way too many people over my career have a marketing plan or PR plan that is so vast and so all over the place, and they just throw things against the wall to see what sticks. You've got to focus, and you've got to focus on things that will turn on the faucet. And you're going to have to give up something to turn on that faucet. And like the third parties, like nobody likes third parties, but in some cases, in some areas, you turn them on and the water flows. It costs you a little bit of money, but what would you do without them? A little hotel like yours, you may not have made it if you didn't have TravelZoo.
Yeah, that's true. And, the property has done it fine, okay for itself for where it is. But how do you get a 30-room property in a town of 1,000 people that isn't even really on the map, that nobody knows about? How do you let people know that property is there? And really, it is by word of mouth advertising. And it's also by people doing reviews and that reach. And that really got us the reach that we needed. And it really has made a difference.
Oh, so let me ask you this then. Now you've gotten all those people to come. Obviously, I'm going to guess that your team's smart enough then to capture all of their contact information. So then you're able to utilize that benefit to maybe promote hotels such as the Craddock Terry in Lynchburg, Virginia, or the Sessions Hotel in Bristol, Virginia. Are you able to go ahead and do that? And are you already doing that?
Yes. Yeah. So when at each of our properties, each of our boutique properties, we have information on the other boutique hotels that Cornerstone operates. And so that really helps us, because if they have they have a great experience at our property, they know what kind of level of service and experience they're going to get at another property that we operate. And so that has made a big difference for us in all of our boutique properties, is that people kind of had connected the properties together, and they kind of know, well, I'm going to go to, even though it's different. The Sessions Hotel is about music and country music. The Craddock Terry Hotel is about shoes and an old shoe factory. But each of those services and the level of service is the same, even though the experience that you have and all of the little small things that make the property special are different. They know they're going to get a great experience when they go. So it does help.
Excellent. Anthony?
No, I got nothing, man.
All right, then I will keep talking.
The first time, I'm sorry.
I was going to say, if you have nothing, I got more questions. So,
all right, go ahead. I'll finish my thought later. Go ahead.
All right. So, all right. So you've done that. So that means at some point you can wean yourself off of those parties, or do you still find them to be a valuable tool over the long term? So I'm just really curious, is it a short-term strategy, a mid-sized strategy, or a long-term play you're thinking about?
No, for this property, the TravelZoo is probably, you might do that maybe twice a year if you,
right,
at the most. You can't saturate the market with it. You want it to be something people are looking for the next time it comes out.
And they won't let you do it more than twice a year usually, right?
Yeah, that's right.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. And it depends too on how many you want to sell and how well your sales go. So they'll kind of tell you what they'll do as well. And where
they're very sophisticated in their market research and the way they do business. I mean, I worked with them 20 years ago when they first started, and it was very impressive the way they controlled us. Because I wasn't used to that. I was used to like, we got the rooms, we're in New York, this is what we're going to give. And they just targeted us when we needed it. And we just went running and said, okay, we'll do what you tell us to do. And then when I think I saw the Four Seasons on it. And that's when I knew stuff got real. I was like, this is going to be a great news.
Right.
Four Seasons is on it.
Yep. Yeah. And so, we have not used we haven't used TravelZoo for the other properties yet. We haven't used it for Sessions in Bristol or Craddock Terry in Lynchburg or any of the other boutiques that we have right now. This was just for that property. It was the right fit for right now.
Excellent. So how is your strategy different these days during this COVID time for the boutique portfolio hotels and your name branded hotels? Because you have properties in your portfolio that we're all familiar with over there. You've got the Sleep Inns, the Quality Inns, the Residence Inns, the Comfort Inns, the Hamptons, all the usual suspects. So how are you thinking about it differently between the big brands and the independents?
Yeah, so we have different divisions. So we have the select service division, we have full service, and then we have the boutique independent lifestyle division within Cornerstone. And with the branded hotels, the select service properties, depending on their location, depends on how we're marketing and how we're doing. And we have been, knock on wood, very fortunate in that we have great leadership teams on the property. We have great salespeople, and they have been able to contact and keep in contact with our clients. And so the branded select service mid-scale properties have fared pretty well. And the full service properties have struggled just as everyone has. I mean, we don't have the meetings. We don't have those events that are happening. So that's kind of struggled. But what we have done is we've changed our dynamic to be vacation at home, get out of the house. Everybody's kind of confined to their house. So get away from the kids, come stay at the hotel local. So, stay in your own backyard and do something fun. We have restaurants in some of these hotels. And so you can have room service delivered. You can have, you can have a little getaway right in your own backyard. And so we've really tried to capitalize on some of that with the full service. And then the boutiques, people are screaming for some type of experience. We've been locked up for so long. So going to a boutique hotel, it's rave reviews. And if you go online and you look at our Sessions hotel reviews, the Western, for any of them, they're rave reviews. We have raving fans, and we're blessed for that. So our guests are actually doing our marketing for us. They're posting reviews like crazy for us, and that makes all the difference.
And I took a little, when I went to Vegas, I had a little 2 days in my favorite hotel, the Nomad. And when you say your guests are doing your reviews, the Nomad, everybody knows I'm a big fan of it. And one day last year, I had 3 hotel rooms in Vegas. I chose the best rooms, and I think Glenn was with me. Could have chose the best rooms at the area, and I just chose to stay at the Nomad. So I went again, and they hooked me up. I walk in, they have Frank Sinatra playing on an old-fashioned record player. They have my favorite bottle of scotch. And then as I'm leaving last night, I go back up to my room to get my stuff. And they called me. They said, Mr. Melchiorri, would it be okay if we went in your room? We see you have do not disturb. We want to drop off something. And I almost said, please don't drop off anything. I don't need anything else. But I said, sure, go ahead. So I come up, forgot all about it. And there's a little bottle of Maker's Mark. And it said, I'm an admirer. The card said, you're admiring fan or something. And I was looking around my room. I was like, this is weird. And I lift up the bottle just to look at the bottle. And there's a picture, very small picture of Brian, who used to run Nomad. Now he's not there anymore. He's in the Dominican Republic, but he heard I was there, and he still made it a point to welcome me. And there's this little picture of him. I thought that was the cutest, funnest thing. And that's how you build loyalty. And that's your customers talk about you. I mean, I talk about the Nomad so much, I should own it.
That is true. You do great advertising for the Nomad.
Yeah, I do.
But I think that you're right, Anthony, and that's what we really do well at our boutique hotels is that each of them are culturally different. So the feel, the look, the experience is different, but the staff and the level of service is the same. And when you come to a property and you have something waiting for you like you did, you had Maker's Mark, you had a record playing in the room that they knew that you liked. When those special touches, when somebody is thinking, when you know as a guest that hotel is thinking of you before you even get there, they're making plans for you and making sure that your stay is going to be off the charts. That's how you win them. That's how you keep them. That's how you win them. That's how you get these rave reviews. And that's how you get other people to come because they want to have those same exact experiences. And you have to create, that takes time, that takes effort, that takes great leadership on the property. And we do a great job at that.
I just want to take note of one of our viewers. Zach King says, good morning.
I was just thinking the same thing. Boom, there it is.
So Zach King says, good morning. Sorry I'm late. I'm on site today trying to open a hotel. I love the fact that he apologized for being late.
Like we would know. Like, honestly, Zach, we were sitting here going, where is Zach? We can't do the show without Zach around.
I don't know where Colleen is. I know Colleen wasn't feeling well.
She's been sick. She said she'd be back in January or February. Yeah.
Hey, listen, if Daniel or Michael wasn't here every day, I would be asking, where are they?
Well, don't forget about Michelle and all sorts of other people that watch the show regularly. So, Zach's got a good point. He's on site trying to open a hotel. That's a very scary thing. Kimberly, when you're about to open a hotel and you're just days away from it, what is your frame of mind like? How do you make sure that all the little details come together to create a seamless opening experience? Yes, Kim. Yes. You too. We did not forget about you. Sorry.
Well, we opened a hotel in COVID. So we were supposed to open the sessions in March. We opened it in June. And so what we're doing actually during that time is just making sure that the SOPs are all in place and that the team is trained and that they have all the tools that they need in the toolbox to do their job and to deliver the brand identity and culture that we expect. And not just have it on a piece of paper, but actually know how to live it and do it. And I think that is probably the most critical thing of opening a hotel is making sure your team is fully trained and ready and prepared. You don't get a chance to have a first impression again. And so whether it's COVID or non-COVID, right, you have to do a good job opening the hotel.
I learned that from the Head and Shoulders shampoo commercials in the 1970s. So you got to get that first impression right.
You do.
Anthony, you don't remember those commercials over there? You never get a second chance to make a first impression.
I'm trying to see how you made that connection. But I was having a drink at the Wynn yesterday, and the young lady comes over. She takes my order, and I asked her, I was a little hungry. I was getting on a plane. I said, I wanted something to eat. She's been there 12 years. She was so delightful with her eyes. I couldn't see her face. With her eyes, like when I said to her, wow, this is a great drink, she looked like I gave her $1 million. She goes, really? You like it? Thank you. I'll tell the bartender. She was so excited. And I asked her, I said, you got to tell me, what is it at the Wynn that like everybody's just always on point? And she said, 12 years ago, they put us through months of training. Mm-hmm. And that has stayed with us. They still do training from time to time, but it's the initial training and the DNA of the Wynn that they make sure that you get. And I said, yeah, that's one thing. Training's important, but that kind of waned. How many interviews did you go through? And she went like this. She goes, oh, the interview. I went through 6 interviews to be a cocktail waitress. 6 interviews.
Wow.
That's how you open a hotel, my friend.
Mm-hmm. That's just true. It's all about the people, because you can have the most beautiful building, you could have the most thoughtful details, you can do all of that. But if the team that you have in place cannot articulate that message that you are trying to send to the consumer as a brand, you lose. It doesn't matter.
We had a meeting yesterday, right? And me and Kimberly talk about something we're working on together. And we're in a meeting, and one of the designers or architect, I don't remember what his job was. I think he's also a partner. He was talking about the outside lighting and how you light up the building so the town can see that the building's there and it has beautiful views, and how the town, when you turn the corner and you go into the convention center. Anyway, he's talking about all the positioning of the lighting. and the difficulty of it and the expense of it. Now, no one is going to care about that. No one. What they're going to care about, if one of those light bulbs are out on the building, the town and the guests are going to hold that general manager accountable. But no one cares about the guy worrying about the plans and worrying about paying for the lighting on the building. And that, what I try to tell people all the time, nobody cares about pre-opening. It's hard. You crack your head open trying to get the financing, trying to get the development deal, trying to get a brand, not a brand, a management company. But the day it opens, no one cares. They want to know why the tulip on the desk isn't pretty. Why is it not watered? Why is the light bulb out? They don't care. I went through the Wynn yesterday, and I was on a mission to find something wrong. I couldn't find anything. It looked like the building opened. Glenn, you've heard me say this 100 times. You walk through the Wynn, and it looks like it opened yesterday. It opened 20 years ago. Or 12 years ago.
Something like that. It's been a really, really long time. So just for those of you who missed it, I'm not in the hospitality industry. When Kimberly said SOPs, she meant standard operating procedure. I love to make sure that we educate all of our non-hotelier folks out there. And the one thing that you're very focused on, Kimberly, is that experience. And we've been talking for years that we're in the experience economy. Do you have a fundamental belief that that's going to be true going forward, or do you see something else that might be emerging that we haven't yet brought to the conversation here in the hospitality business?
I mean, I think people are focused on COVID and cleanliness and all that. I mean, we're all focused on that. And so, yes, that's going to be something moving forward. I still think that people inherently want to have an experience. That's not going to change. We are experience driven. We are all about the senses as human beings. We look, smell, scent, touch, everything is important to us. And so I don't think that's going to change. And I think how we deliver that is going to be the thing that does change. How do you deliver the experience? How do you deliver high touch services with low actual touch? How do we do that? And while we can go to all the technology in the world, and I do appreciate that. I like having the technology, want to talk to a person when I want to talk to them. I still think people are going to want to come down and talk to the front desk and learn about things and know where the best places are. Where are the locals places to eat? What do I need to do if I only have one day here? Those are going to be high touch points that human interaction is going to still be a prevalent factor in our business. We're in hospitality. I don't think a computer can deliver hospitality the way that a human being can. And so we're still going to have to train and teach and provide those experiences for people through human interaction.
And we're getting the first crop of the kids that were handed an iPad in the crib. So the people we're getting today, there's a lot of friendly people. There's a lot of people that have been raised right and could interact with people and can't have their phone at the dinner table. But there's a lot of people that don't. And so you have a lot of smart people that really want to deliver service, but literally do not know how to have a conversation with someone. Literally do not know how to look them in the eye and stand their ground and have an interaction. And that's the biggest challenge for hotels opening today, is to find the best talent. But the best talent, sometimes they struggle to really interact with the guest in a real way because they were handed an iPad in the crib.
Very true. That is true. But I also think that those same people that are looking at technology and they are the ones that are interested in those experiences. They're the ones that are the nomads around the country and want to have all these experiences, the best brewery, the best winery, the best place to have fun. So I still think that even with that, yes, those are the challenges in our industry of how to capture that customer service.
Do they want that experience, or they want the picture to show everybody they're cooler than them?
No, that's right. Instagram moments. That's right.
Yeah, I think those are so important.
Pathetic. It's really pathetic.
Yeah.
You walk into a place and everybody's got their phone out like this. Like literally, like they walk into. I saw the pastry shop at one of the hotels, and there were like six different people, young ladies, not together. Like one looked like a business person, one was with a friend, and like all different people, an older woman, and they all walked in like this, taking pictures of all the baked goods. And this one girl was in front of me, and like she's within 6 feet of me, right? She's 6 feet away, and she's got a mask on, and she's posing with the bagel and with the pastry and making sure she's getting the lighting. And she did it like 5 times. And she didn't really realize that I was watching her. And it was so painful to really, is it like, do I really need to know that you're having a bagel? And you had to get the lighting so perfect. And that I do, Glenn.
Well, you told us right away about eating a bagel, so I think all is fair in photos and bagels. All right. So Kimberly, let me. We got a couple of great questions playing into this whole thing. When creating experiences, the first one is how do you create that, but also, have you looked into brand ambassador influencers in your marketing? And one of the things that I find interesting, I think there's a great opportunity for what you were thinking about, bringing back that concierge service, because I'm finding the apps that I have really become useless to me. That might tell me where a location is for a restaurant, but I can't trust those reviews necessarily anymore. So I see great opportunity there for experience. So how do you create those experiences? And are you using others to help create influence to get people to see your hotels?
Yes. Well, for each of the markets that we're in, I want to be a part of the fabric of that community. So our team immerses itself in the community. So we get to know all the players, who each of the event venues, the museums, anybody that's a player in the town, and we use them as ambassadors for us to help us to create the experience. I think your point about having ambassadors or concierge, if every member of your team is not a concierge, is not selling, is not doing something for you, then for that guest, if they don't see themselves as that, then you don't have your team. Your team is not going to be able to do it. You can't deliver on it. Every member of your team has to do that. And, we have funny things that we call our team members at each of the properties. The general managers come up with their own names.
Fun.
The Sessions Hotel, all of the doors for private spaces for behind the scenes, it all says stagehands only. Mm-hmm. All of the employees are stagehands. And so that the team knows that they're stagehands because it's a music-centered hotel. And so at the Western Front, they're all gems. They're guest experience managers. They know it. That's what they have to be. They're gems to us and they're gems to the guest. And if you're not creating that with your team, you won't have a successful experiential property.
Right.
And that's what's important.
And you have to, when you're talking, what Kimberly's talking about, and we're going to be going through it on the project we're working on, you have to hire that. You can't train that. You have to hire that and then tell them this is the expectation. You cannot take someone that doesn't understand intuitively what you're trying to do. You just can't do it. If they don't get excited, like the young lady I was talking about yesterday, I asked her, I said, what did you start doing? She goes, well, I was an actress. And then I went to California and I was in cattle calls and I didn't want to do that anymore. So I went out to Vegas. So now you can tell she was an actress because she was very theatrical and she was very much a performer. So yes, they can train them the win way, but she's an actress. She's a performer. You cannot, and too many people, and Kimberly's been in that situation. I've been in that situation where we've tried to make that person a performer where they just can't. It's not in their DNA.
Well, and I think a lot of times too, I believe that people support what they help create. If you involve them in the creative process, even if you know what direction you want them to go and you lead them down the path, but they find that they're the ones that are coming up with the idea, or they feel like they're part of the idea generation, they're going to embrace it. They're going to go out and make sure that it happens. And then if somebody else on the team isn't doing that, they're going to hold them to task too, because they're owning that process. And so I think that makes a big deal difference for us. And so while you might not be able to hire every person that has that you can kind of get them to embrace it. It's like a salesperson. They can't sell something they don't believe in, or they can't sell it well. You have to get them indoctrinated into it. You almost have to, it's almost like you have to bring them in and get them in.
People need pride. People want pride. And
Sure.
they want to have pride in what they're doing. And, you said something very interesting. You said once the culture is in place, it'll take care of itself. You don't have to pop people out, man. The culture will pop them out. Those employees, if you come to work, if you have an employee that's never late, is very conscientious, and is working around someone that is not the same, guarantee you there will be some problems. and they will exit stage left before you have to even write the person up, because when you're in a high performing environment, high performers have no patience for people aren't at a high performance, period.
That's right. I find that they hold them to task. They don't want the property to go down. They're going to come up and say, hey, ABC person is not doing this. I've already called them out on it. You need to fix it, or, it's going to be a problem.
It makes them look bad. It makes them look bad.
That's right. And a lot of times I find that I'll hear people say something's not going right at the property, or the experience is not the same. I look to the general manager, to the leadership team on that property, and I say, that's not the employee. That is not the team member, the hourly employee's fault. That is your fault. You have not held that accountability for the brand. You have to live it every single day. Disney said it right. You're on stage all the time, and you have to live it every single day. There's no off days. And so you have to be doing it all the time. And your team, if you have the right team in place, is going to hold everybody else accountable for that.
All right, so we're stepping into a place now where why I love this show, because when we hit the go live button, didn't expect to be talking about this particular topic. We stumbled on it, right? And that's the kind of thing that gets me super excited. So you're talking about giving people so-called skin in the game, so that way they feel connected to it. When you have a property that's already open and has been running and has kind of figured itself out, and you have new employees coming in, how do you instill them with that sense of ownership over the property when they didn't help create stuff?
That's where SOPs come in, and that's where great orientation comes in. I think orientation starts with the leadership of the property, but then the rest of it really is, if you have a great team in place, they're going to help orientate that person to the right ways to do things and to make sure that they're doing it the right way. But the leadership of the property has to make sure that everybody understands. And so often in everything, not just in branding and experiential properties, but we end up telling, and we don't ask enough questions. We don't listen. We don't understand if they really get it or not, or if we're just, telling them a bunch of stuff, spewing it all at them, handing them a binder, expecting them to read it and come out of there with, brand, speaking the brand. And that doesn't work. And so a lot of times when leaders are telling me that, I'm like, well, how did you implement it? What did you do? How did you get them to come on board? I can remember when I was a young girl, and my first job, this is dating me a long time ago, but my first job was in a fast food restaurant. And the manager of that restaurant took me and showed me everything that day. He didn't have somebody else do it. He took me personally, and he took me out to the dumpster to show me how to throw the trash away. And I said, I think I could have figured that out by myself. He said, yeah, but if I show you exactly how I want it done, and I answer your questions, I have no reason to think that you don't know how to do it. And I think so often we're not doing that. We're just throwing them in and expecting them to perform and expecting them to meet our expectations when we have not given them the proper tools in order to do that. And that's a real disservice. And as a leader, when you start to do that and you have failings like that, it is you that is failing. It is not the person that you are working with. You have failed as a leader, and you need to take a step back and take a good look at yourself.
Yeah, I can't agree more. And it's all the little things are important. How many times in your career, Kimberly, has someone come up to you that maybe you worked with 5 years ago, 10 years ago, and they said, do you remember what you said to me? And of course you shake your head and you say, yes, I do, even the way you don't remember. And they're like, you taught me this, and I've never forgotten that. And I'd be like, well, thank you very much. I appreciate that. Because when you're in the moment and everything matters to you and you're passionate, there's never a day. I would challenge anyone's ever worked with me in my career. There's ever a day I hit the floor of a hotel that I wasn't popping. I wasn't like, hey, well, I was the most excited person in the building. Never. In 33 years was I not the most excited person in the building. I was always, I wouldn't say in a good mood. I was always in a customer employee mood. I was always prepared for them. So a million things come out of my mouth. So people are watching you, and you won't remember 90% of stuff you say, but the other people will, good and bad.
I think is fun to me. What I enjoy the most is, yes, when they come up and say you said or you taught me or whatever. Obviously that feels great, and you're thankful for that. But what I love is when a team member, a general manager, whoever it is, comes to me and starts to tell me something as if I don't know it, but I told them that. and they think it's theirs. They've
Those are my
owned it
kids.
so much. And I just stand there and I'm like, really? That's great. Because then you've really made an impact. They have taken something and they have owned it so much that they think it's theirs, and they're now telling you. That is the best compliment in the world.
So apparently I must be doing an okay job with my kids, because my kids do that all the time. And I'm sitting there and I want to say, I've told you that 600 times. And all of a sudden they own it. And I think and that's true. But the most important thing, if you remember anything, Glenn, we're trying to train you, Glenn. We're trying to train you. If you remember anything,
I can use it.
If you remember everything we say, there is never an off button. When you're developing a hotel, I'll give you an example, and we'll go talking about what me and Kimberly working on. Kimberly was on the show the first time, and I was so impressed. And I told you 100 times I was impressed with Kimberly. And there's a
like so much it was becoming uncomfortable, Kimberly.
And I'm working on a project in California, and I was like, you know what, this is a big project, and I'm not going to be able to hold this whole project. I just can't. Because, depending on the project, I bring people on, or I can have 30, 40, 50 people on a project, or I can have 2 people on a project. So I scale up and scale down. So I was like, I need someone with the bandwidth, but also the personality that I can be around all the time. And so initially, and I didn't know Kimberly, I still don't know her that well.
Yeah.
And I called her out of nowhere, and I said, Kimberly, this is the project. What do you think? And she's like, okay, let's figure it out. And since we've been working on this project together, and we had a meeting yesterday, she is so effing prepared. She's asked me questions. I've gone through the paperwork. She's bringing up stuff that I haven't even looked at, haven't seen, I haven't thought about. But it's, again, and of course we're partners, so it's not like she's an employer, I'm an employee. But it's instinct. You hire people, develop relationships with people that you just know the on switch always on. I can't deal with people that have, I wasn't prepared for the meeting, or it's okay if I'm not prepared, all right. But if I'm asking somebody else to look at the details, they really got to make me look better. And I said yesterday in the meeting, I said, the more she spoke, the better I looked. Me and Jeremy, my partner, Jeremy. And it's true. And there's so many details to worry about. Matter of fact, and there's some things that she was talking about. I was like, oh, we got to worry about that. And there's other things I was like, all right, we'll get to that. But everything is important. And so my instinct initially with Kimberly was, oh, wow, she's better than I am. And she's a detailed person. And she's always on. Okay. And again, people take me the wrong way when I say always on. I have bad moments, and I'm not always in the mood. But when that light goes on Zoom, or you walk into a hotel, or you're dealing with an owner, there's never a moment. There's never a moment. Like even sometimes, like in the beginning when you and I were talking, Glenn, and you say something, and like, why are you going there? Like, why are you having that negative moment? Like, don't have that negative moment now. Like keep it going. Let's keep it up. And I think this project we're working on is going to be very much a legacy project. It's going to be one of those projects that we work on that will be one of the feathers in our cap in our career. No
question. And I appreciate the opportunity to do so. And I'll try to continue to make you look good, Anthony. That's my gig.
So I've got
every day. So you have a high standard.
I've got a couple of questions for you on that particular issue, but I'd be remiss, Anthony, if I didn't bring up Michelle MacArthur's question from about 10 minutes ago. Do you and Jerry Pinkerton offer the service to instill with hospitality success by Anthony Melchiorri? She's talking specifically about training and getting people excited and on board.
Yeah, it's basically specifically to a hotel. So what we'll do is we're a non-management company, RJO Hospitality. So one of the reasons I partnered with Kimberly is because she has a management company. I'm more of a learning company now. I don't want your problems. I want to solve your problems. So this isn't, that part of my business isn't a business where we bring individuals on. If you have a hotel, you can hire us, but individuals, it's not, my speaking gigs and the education stuff I do for different universities. That's kind of where you get that stuff. But our JO Hospitality specifically to train owners on how to run their operation.
Would you be interested in doing a day-long training session for hotel companies and stuff like that?
Eventually, yeah, I do them sporadically. Yeah. It depends on the person I'm dealing with, depends on the property. But there's so much, I get so excited. I put so much effort into it that I do them rarely, but I'll do them from time to time. But it's not they're exhausting. And I just don't sometimes just don't have the time in my day, year, or week
Right.
to do it. And I don't ever want to call in. My speaking gigs, I've never ever done the same speaking gig twice ever. So anything I do is all in. Like this project, I told Kimberly, I'll make a little bit of money and spend a lot of time, but I want to do it. I want to do this project.
Right, because you're doing it for personal satisfaction. You want to be able to go through that experience, which brings me to a great segue that you made. Let's talk a little bit about this project. And I'm not a hotel owner, operator, developer. I've just been in the business getting to know people and reporting on this industry that I love so much. So I don't know all of the little nuances that you folks go through. So I think while you're developing this hotel, it's going to be a great opportunity for all of our viewers and listeners on our audio podcast feed, which if you're not subscribed to, go to Checking In with Anthony and Glenn, anywhere you get your shows, or No Vacancy with Glenn Hausman to get your shows and subscribe to those. So I'm very curious as to what are you thinking about now? What part of the process are you in? How do you two even come together to make a deal? And what are the first things that you start to work on?
Well, we're still not in the deal completely. We don't have the contract yet. But one of the things that was important to me was to spend a lot of time with the owner, go to the project, which I did last year. And then COVID got in our way. And now the first thing in front of us is the construction part of the hotel, the loan, the financing. The second part is brand and no brand. Mm-hmm. And the third part is, the stuff that me and Kimberly and Jeremy control every day. So that stuff's easy for us. So the third part of it is getting it opened and branding it and developing it. I mean, that's the stuff that I jump out of bed for. But the two pre-qualifiers for that is the loan, the construction loan, and what do we need for the bank to do that as far as a brand, no brand. Kimberly?
Yep, that's about right. I think the project itself is going to be incredible. Mm-hmm. And as I said earlier, you can have a beautiful building, you can have an incredible space, but if you don't have the soul in the building, you don't tell the story, you don't have the great service and experience, it doesn't really matter. So that's what we are excited to bring, is that culture and experience. So we can do all the other stuff. The other stuff is just, normal stuff, construction,
right,
layout, that kind of stuff. Again,
like yesterday, I'm at the Wynn Hotel and I have a drink, and I asked the lady, I said, just bring me a sweet drink. I drink scotch, as you know, but I just want a sweet drink because I knew it would be a signature drink and it would be a great drink. And she hands it to me. It was the best drink I've ever had, literally the best drink I've ever had. I had 3 of them. They were so good. And I wasn't in the mood to drink. I had 3 of them. They were so good.
If you say you had 3, then you must have 5 or 6.
No. I literally had 3. But I can have 3 scotches and walk backwards easily. Right. I had 3 of these drinks, and I had trouble walking out of the building. But it was so good and so tasty, it didn't feel like an alcoholic drink. And it was presented well. The food in it was perfect. And again, 12 years operating the Wynn, everything is perfect. And the drink they give me is the best drink I've ever had. Of course it is, because every single day there is somebody that is pushing that team to the highest level. They never take a day off. I mean, look how Wynn's gone through the recession. Not the recession, the COVID. Mm-hmm. Everyone's gotten paid, right? Yep. They've basically made sure everybody stayed on. When you look at the protocols, their protocols are great. And even their bottle of water, I noticed something with their bottle of water. Their bottle of water is different than anybody else's bottle of water. When they give you a free bottle of water at a table or something, it's more elegant than all the other bottles of water. And I noticed another thing that, again, it goes into the project we're working on, Glenn, of how my brain works and Kimberly's brain works, is everyone else had a mask for the hotel. So if you stayed at, an MGM product or another product, they had their mask. Right. Now, Wynn, which is all about Wynn branding, they have their Wynn brand on the sanitizing stations, mm-hmm. but they had medical masks for every one of their employees. They didn't have the Wynn masks. They had disposable masks. And I found that fascinating. And then when I was asking my friend who runs one of the MGM hotels, and he told me, he said, probably because because it's more sanitary, because they can change them out all the time. So there was thought that went into that, even though it didn't fit within the brand. The thought behind that was it's more sanitary. and people can put a brand new one as much as they want, as opposed to having something. So everything is thought about. Nothing is by mistake. And that's one of the things that is exciting about this project. Like, I'm going to obsess. I mean, Kimberly's going to see me literally sitting in the corner in the ball one day, like obsessing about a napkin or something. And that's the stuff that I want to obsess about. Like, that's the stuff that makes me happy. The flowers, the vase, the tile, the smell, the uniforms, the grass, the rooftop, the jazz club. There's so many, like every single detail literally is my energy for life. Like if I like, and then for 15 years now or 10 years, I've really been away from that doing the show. Like I'm it's overdue for me to get back into that. I need to put the needle back in my arm.
I think the best hotels are actually the ones where every detail is, I mean, you just scrutinize every single choice. But from the guest perspective, they don't realize that. It just seems natural to them. And that's when you've done it right.
The drapery. There's so much drapery at the Wynn Hotel. It's like, how do they keep this all clean? Like when you're designing a hotel, the first thing you do is you think about how you clean the hotel. And the last thing you want to do is put a lot of drapery in, especially drapery that's hard to get to or chandeliers that's hard to get to.
Right.
I don't know how they do it because everything looks really difficult to get to, but everything looks like they just put it in. There's no dust. There's no, when you touch it, like I was touching one of the drapes yesterday, I look like a weirdo because I'm like massaging the drape. It literally felt like it just came out of the package. I smelled it. Okay. All right. I smelled the drape at the Wynn Hotel. I literally went like this. It's like, it smelled like it just came out of the washer. Why are you laughing?
Because it's freaking funny. That's why I'm laughing.
But you're not in a lot of other guests. They're all looking at that too. You were taking it from a guest perspective too. So especially during COVID.
You know what? I was just like you said. Everything looks so easy. Yeah. Like when it looks easy. There's one hotel in Vegas that I don't stay out there that often, but I walk through sometimes, and it's just so easy to get it right, and it's so wrong. It's like they're almost there, and it's just like that. I'd say 5 to 10% is off, so the whole thing's off.
Right. Oh, well, we've talked a lot about how everybody does things 95, 98% amazing. It's those last few percents that really make the difference, that create that impact with the customer. So another couple of quick questions about this property that you're developing. Anthony, this project was already conceived in the sense that the ownership group had already made the decision to go ahead. What type of hotel will it be in terms of the industry parlance, upscale, upper upscale, that kind of thing? Is it going to be a full service property? Just so people can start to visualize what we're talking about.
First of all, the owners have a very intense and beautiful vision, and that is tied back to the community, which I love. And the answer to your question is yes on all fronts. This is what I want it to be. I want it to be a world destination where a world traveler, wherever they are in the world, they remember this hotel. Because listen, we've all traveled to beautiful hotels. We all stayed in beautiful hotel suites and slept on beautiful linen and whatever. And there's a few things that you remember, or you don't,
if at all.
It just felt like another luxury hotel, right? And again, I don't want to call out any of the brands, but some of these luxury brands, they look exactly alike, and there's nothing. I was looking for a branding book because we may look at a brand. I was looking for a branding book for one of their high scale brands. And everything they said was marketing. Nothing was soul. Everything was marketing. It was like, oh, and we have beautiful this and we have beautiful that. I said, no, tell me why I should give a crap. Because you're not telling me why I give a crap. I want to know why I give a crap. And only when I care, I can get my front desk person to care. I remember the greatest things ever been said to me from an employee was at the Algonquin Hotel. And I tear up saying this, but the person came over to me, put his hand on my shoulder and said, thank you. With tears in his eyes, goes, thank you for bringing pride back to the Algonquin.
Awesome.
That's it. Because every day I challenge people. Every day I'm like, no, not good enough. We got to do better. We got to do better. We got to do better. And people get pissed off. But you know what? The people that care stay. And the people get pissed off, go work somewhere else and make that place mediocre.
Right.
One of the great things that we can do, and that we'll do on this property as well, is that when you look at a building, a historic building, and you're doing a hotel, happens to be a historic project, but if you're doing a historic project, is that building is a person, basically.
That's right.
It's seen a lot. It's housed many people. It's had many experiences, all of its own.
Amen.
And how do you tell that story and bring it out in the authentic way? And that is what's going to make the difference at this property, because it's already going to be gorgeous. The interior package, all of that is going to be fabulous. But the story and how we explore that, and we're not putting spackling on her. We're actually giving her a whole facelift. And when that all gets done and tell her story, it's going to be pretty fabulous.
It's like a gorgeous person, right? Man or woman that doesn't have a soul or a brain, right? Mm-hmm. Or a beautiful car that is always in the shop, right? Or a beautiful home. We've all walked into people's beautiful homes, but there's something missing within the family. It just feels cold, and they're not together. They're not a family, but they have beautiful cars and beautiful home, but there's no soul. So I can give a crap less about, pretty stuff. I love pretty stuff, but I want to make sure that pretty stuff means something. Yeah. I want to make sure that there's a soul to that. And I'm breathless when I develop things like this, because I understand, and I've seen it. And I didn't understand it maybe when I started my career. I just willed it because I felt it was the right thing to do. But now I understand when I don't get my way with something. If I don't get my way with a plate, if I don't get my way with a fork, and if I'm thinking about it that night at home, I'm like, I really should have put that napkin in that restaurant. I should have put that drapery on that wall. I shouldn't have let the designer, wrestle me about that. I should have won that. Like, that's the stuff that keeps me up at night. When I go home and there's nothing on my mind, that means I fought the good fight and I won the fight with the little details. There's a young lady, a designer, well, actually an older woman, who's a designer in one of the hotels I did in New York, and I'll never forget this as long as I live. I walk upstairs, and there's the owner and the designer, and I'm like, to the owner, I said, come here for a second. I whispered in his ear, I go, that sucks. That color is horrible. And he was like, well, that's from the time period. I said, I get that, but there's 600 other colors from the time period. That color makes us look like a subway. That sucks. And he's like, all right, I'll talk to her. Because I wasn't allowed to talk to her anymore, because her and I fought all the time. So he was talking to her, and he comes back to me, and he puts his hand back on my shoulder. He goes, I'm going to let her win this one. I said, okay, no problem. I walked away. The number one complaint that we got about that design was everybody hated that color. I should have not let that person win that war. I should have won that war. And I would have won that war if it was a little bit more, it wasn't as kind. But I felt the person had a lot of pressure on their shoulders. But those are the things that great hotels are built on. You saw when we have designers on, designers are a little crazy. They're like pastry chefs. Pastry chefs and designers are similar because it's all about the art. And if you don't get it right, that cannoli, if that cannoli doesn't look right, it could taste great, but if it doesn't look right on the plate, it doesn't matter.
Yep. I highly recommend everybody go into our catalog of shows, which you can find on YouTube or at novacancynews.com, and type in Roger Thomas or Todd Avery Lenahan. They're designers with Win. Roger Thomas told me a great story when they opened up Encore about creating that soul, Anthony, and how they went over to Asia and handpicked antiques and really went and tried to understand what that culture was all about, to bring some of those elements to the property to create something special that would really connect emotionally with customers.
You know what it is? It's soft intensity. I never really said those words before. It's soft intensity. What does that mean? If you look intense, you make everybody nervous.
Mm-hmm.
If it's when I'm developing, I may make people nervous, but once I'm running it, it's soft intensity. It means that you're always on it. You're always chomping at the bit, but you're not running around like a lunatic. When you're walking around these beautiful hotels in Vegas, you feel it. Some of them, you feel that soft intensity. You feel everybody is held accountable, but everyone is feeling pride in what they do.
Well, and part of too, what you have to do with the designers is once you determine what you want the culture to be, the designer has to get on board with that. Because if you don't have the designer on board with that, and that's part of what you were talking about, Glenn, with the Win designers, Patty Tritchler and IIG Design, they do a lot of our properties and they get it. And so when it talks you're talking about a boutique hotel, they kind of infiltrate themselves into the project and learn all about it to help bring that intensity that you're talking about.
That's really important. And check out Patty. She's a great professional and does incredible designs. So before we start to head towards wrapping up, big question is, what's the opening plans? I'm sure you don't think you're going to open up in July 2022 or whatever it is. But do you have an estimate on how long this project is going to take?
Me and Kimberly are laughing because I think he hit the date.
Oh, really? Well, it just seemed to make sense. All right, so stick around for July 2022 for the potential opening.
We're very early stages, and but it's just it's just fun. It's just fun. I mean, I just don't know why not everyone wants to develop a hotel. Everyone, if I guarantee you, almost everyone that likes, I don't know, that has passion and enthusiasm for hospitality, developing a hotel, I can't think of anything more fun. I just can't.
I could think of one thing more fun. Anthony, we get Kimberly, we get our friend Tamara involved, and we shoot a documentary about this whole process of you creating and opening the hotel. I think that would be really awesome.
100% doing that. Yeah. As soon as the deal's done, the owners will be on the show. We'll talk about the project. And I'm going to have either Tamara or my camera crew, my production company, document the whole thing.
Yeah, awesome. I think that's a terrific idea. I think it'll make for a great product. All right, we're about over. We've been over an hour already here. Fastest hour of the week, I got to tell you. This has been a lot of fun. Kimberly, before we let you go, of course, we'll have you back time and time again as we go through this particular process. Any closing words for yourself? And, of course, give a shameless plug for Cornerstone.
Sure. Thank you so much. Just want to tell everyone that's watching, that's in our industry, I know it's been a hard year and it's not over yet. And the first quarter of 21 is going to be tough on us too. But I do see the light at the end of the tunnel. And I think we know what we do best. And we just need to keep doing that, keep our chins up, and be kind to everybody. I know Anthony says that, and that's one of my big things, but just try to be kind to people and be kind to each other and forgive each other for our flaws. And as we go through this life, take care of your people that work with you and be grateful. Gratefulness is not something that is easy to come by. You always think, oh, it's easy to be grateful when things are going great. That's not true. We're most recognized when we should be grateful when things are going hard. And that's what's happening to us right now. We all have so much to be grateful for, even in the worst of times. So that's all I really have to say. And if you are looking for a management company or somebody to help you develop a boutique or experience hotel, Cornerstone might be who you should talk to, and love to talk to you.
Excellent. And remember, she's got Anthony Melchiorri's approval seal. So you got nothing to worry about. Kimberly, thank you so much for being here. We really appreciate you. All right.
Kimberly.
All right. That was really awesome. Again, super fast hour. Now, the rest of the week, we got a special show coming on from Friday. But tomorrow, we're bringing back John Lancaster. He's RVP with Choice, but he really focuses on emerging markets, all of those people and cultures and individuals that have not been considered before for the hospitality industry, veterans, minority groups, all sorts of stuff, and is trying to get them into the hotel ownership. And then Anthony, on Friday, we got back one of Marriott's top executives. We're doing a special show because we were able to get back Mr. Mike Stengel. He has been amazing the 2 times he's appeared on the show, so we're going for a big trifecta with him.
Yeah, anytime you say Mike Stengel, like people come out of the woodwork and they're like, everybody has a great thing to say about him.
Yeah, speaking about great things to say, you won't want to miss this Friday show because we got something special planned with Mike for Mike. So it's going to be really a good one, Anthony. All right,
a good show. I'm looking forward to it.
It's going to be.
Can I participate?
It's good. Yeah, you can participate. I'll give you permission. All right. It's going to be really, really a lot of fun, and I can't wait. It's going to be such a great time. We decided to actually do a special show for it on Friday because otherwise it wouldn't be able to fit into our schedule because we've got guests jam-packed well into January at this point, Anthony. And it's amazing to see how many people want to be on the show.
I call a producer or you, and I'm like, I can't get my own people on until like what, January 2027?
I was about to say, we're going to coordinate them with the opening of your hotel. July 2022. All right.
Get my own friggin' show.
All right, we'll get those people in. Don't worry. We, behind the scenes, you guys don't need to see how it works, but we're moving guests around all the time should things pop, so we can stay ahead of the news and give you all the insights that you need. Be sure to subscribe to our newsletter so you never ever miss any of our great content. Text the word hotel to 66866. Don't forget to subscribe to our audio feed A lot of you out there have dogs. You're walking them. Why not listen to our audio version of Checking In with Anthony and Glenn doing that? Find it where all your podcasts are available.
How about
as
if
well.
I'm walking my hamster? Can I listen to it if I'm walking my hamster?
Hey, look, it's none of my business what you're walking. Just listen to the show. Okay, Anthony? All right, everybody. Thanks so much for being here. We'll be back tomorrow at noon Eastern time. Remember, you've got one life, so blaze on. And Anthony?
Be kind to yourself.
See you all tomorrow.